Namaste dear students. Today's topic is Animal Kingdom. This comes under our first unit, Diversity in the Living Organisms. Okay, so in the Animal Kingdom, as you know that according to R.H. Whitaker's 5 Kingdom System classification, so here in the Animal Kingdom, which is further classified, there are mainly 10 phylums. Animal Kingdom mainly consisting of 10 phylums. These phylums are having certain basis for their classification. Classification is based on the, first and foremost, based on the levels of organization. How organisms are complex, how they are made up of, what is it. As you know that cell is a basic unit of life. Each and every organism, if it is a living, then it will be consisting of a cell. From unicellular to a multicellular organism. So all these are the multicellular organisms. In that, the first foremost levels of organization is the cellular level of organization. So here, the cellular level of organization means the organism is made up of cells. Their complete body functions, all the body functions which will be performed by the cells. For example, a phylum known as a porifera or sponges. This is one example for the cellular level of organization. So this can be asked a direct MCQ because there is only one phylum which comes under the cellular level of organization. Next is about the tissue level of organization. So here the cells, what cells? A similar cells having same origin and they will be performing similar function. Such cells combine to form a tissue. What do you mean by a tissue? It is a similar cell having same origin and performing same function. That is known to be a tissue, where the organism, it is made up of a group of tissues, where all the body functions which will be done by a tissues. Example, phylum Coelenterata. Okay, and the next, all the tissues which will combine to form an organ. Tissues are combined to form an organ. So there is a organ level of organization. Example, Platyhelminthes or flatworms, where all the body functions will be performed by organs. Next is about the complex organism, where they have an organ system level of organization, where the group of organs are joined to form an organ system. So, for example, it starts from a Aschelhelminthes till the chordata. One example I have given, that is the annelida. So, for example, we the human beings, we come under organ system level of organization. We have different systems. For example, digestive system, respiratory system, circulatory system, all these different systems, these are consisting of different organs. If I take an example of digestive system, it is consisting of organs such as stomach is an organ, whereas esophagus is an organ, intestine is an organ, all these are the organs, where those organs are again consisting of tissues. You might have studied epithelial tissues, muscle tissues, connective tissues, all those are the tissues, where tissues are made up of a cell. So that is regarding to the levels of organization. So based on this, organisms are classified. Next is about the symmetry, how organisms are divided. So here, symmetry, we have mainly 3 types of symmetry, that is asymmetry, radial symmetry, bilateral symmetry. In the asymmetry, I have drawn a diagram of a sponge or a porifera member. So asymmetry means in any angle, if we cut that organism, we won't get equal halves. Any angle, if we cut an organism, we won't get equal halves. They don't have a symmetry. Then they are known to be asymmetrical. And the type is known as asymmetry. And next is about the radial symmetry. I have drawn a starfish here. The members of Coelenterata also having a radial symmetry. Radial symmetry means if we are dividing an organism in any plane, but the line should pass through the central axis, then we will get 2 equal halves. So we can divide it from this plane, we will get equal halves. From this plane, we will get equal halves. Any plane, we will get the equal halves. then it is a radial symmetry. And the last one is a bilateral symmetry. This is the diagram of a round worm. So in the bilateral symmetry, what happens? Only in one plane, that is through the central axis, if we cut, we will get two identical halves. All the higher level of organisms, starting from a platyhelminthes till the chordates, except this starfish. Okay, except this, all other organisms will have a bilateral symmetry. Only in one axis we can divide into two equal halves. So based on this, there is a division. So asymmetry example, porifera, radial symmetry, echinodermata as well as coelenterata, bilateral symmetry from platyhelminthes to the chordates. Next, move on to the next level of classification, that is based on the body organization. So, in the embryonic condition, in the embryonic stage, each and every organism will have a structural organization. That means each and every cell will be assigned to have certain functions. Certain cells will move to form a certain organs. Okay, from the development of an embryo. At that stage, there is a formation of layers. Blast refers to the immature cells. Diplo refers to the diplo, it is two blastic, two layer of cells. Triplo, three layer of cells. So here you can see there is mainly two layer, outer ectoderm, inner endoderm, outer ectoderm and inner endoderm. But there is a presence of a layer called mesoglia. Normally in the diploblastic cells, they have a layer called mesoglia. It is seen in coelenterata members. So that is regarding to the diploblastic organisms. In the case of triploblastic organisms, we the human beings, we are triploblastic organisms. So starting from platyhelminthes till the chordates, they are triploblastic organism consisting of three germ layers: outer ectoderm, middle mesoderm, inner endoderm. So there is a presence of three germ layers. So that is based on the body organization. Next is about the body cavity. From mouth till the anus, if there is a cavity, then it is known to be the body cavity. Okay, from mouth, so you can see here from mouth till the anus, in the middle there is a presence of cavity, that is known to be body cavity, or which is also known as a coelom. So here, based on the presence and absence of coelom, there is a coelomate organisms, there is a presence of coelom, there is a pseudo-coelomate organism. Pseudo refers to the false. They don't have coelom, but they will show off. So that is a pseudo-coelomate organisms, and then we have a acoelomate organisms. There is an absence of coelom. So here one more thing is that this is a coelom. This is the body cavity which is covered by a mesoderm. It is in the middle. Okay, it is covered by a mesoderm. So coelom is covered by a mesoderm. So example for coelomates from Annelida till chordata. Annelida to the chordata. Pseudo-coelomate, there is only one member, that is Aschelminthes. It is a pseudo-coelomate. MCQ question can be asked based on this. Pseudo-coelomate is Aschelminthes. Acoelomate is Platyhelminthes. The member of Platyhelminthes are considered to be the acoelomate organisms. Next, after this is about the segmentation. Internal or external segments. You might have seen earthworm, you might have seen prawn. All these organisms are having segments. So the segments, they are also known as a metameres. So based on the segments, organisms are classified. Normally Annelida, Arthropoda, these members are having body segments. Okay, so that is segmentation. Last basis is the presence of notochord. Notochord is a rod-like structure which is a mesodermally originated rod-like structure. In the human beings, that is replaced by our vertebral column, backbone. Now what we have backbone, in the embryonic stage that was a notochord. Notochord is replaced by the vertebral column. So presence of notochord, they are known to be chord if the notochord is absent, they are non-chordates, chordates as well as the non-chordates. So that is classification is based on the presence of notochord. So these are the 6 important bases of classification under animal kingdom, how the further classification is done. So this is the basis of classification. Next we'll move on to the first foremost phylum, that is the phylum Porifera. So in the phylum Porifera, in the sense they are pore bearing organisms. There is a presence of pores in their body. I have given one example. This is a Porifera consisting of pores in their body. Okay, here it is known to be ostia. Next, they have some of these common features I can tell. There is a cellular level of organization, as I told. So it is a one and only phylum having cellular level of organization, and there is a very important is presence of water canal system. They have a water canal system. What is this water canal system? So in their body, water enters where all the particular food substances which will be absorbed by the organism and excretory materials will be removed. As I told, it is the cellular level of organization. All the functions will be done by different kinds of cells. Okay. So here outside the body there is a presence of ostia, small pore-like structure through which water enters. Then there is a middle cavity known as a osculum. Middle cavity called spongiosele. Inside the cavity, that is a spongiosele. And the outer opening known as a osculum. Water enters through ostia, moves out through osculum. Middle cavity is a spongiosele, which is consisting of certain cells. One of the important cells known as a choanocytes. Choanocytes, all the functions will be done by these cells. What are the functions? First foremost thing, water enters. The food substance which will be captured by the organisms, which will be utilized. Respiratory substances which will also be utilized, and whatever the waste substances which is produced, that will be eliminated through the osculum. So this is the water canal system. Then there is a presence of a skeletal system which is mainly consisting of calcium carbonate, calcareous skeletal system known to be spicules. Spicules are nothing but the calcareous skeletal system. Okay, then digestion intracellular. Of course, there is a presence of cells within the cell. All the functions will take place. So that's why the digestion is intracellular. They have further classification. That is, there are 3 classes. There are 3 classes: class Calcarea, class Demospongia, class Hexactinellida. There are 3 classes: Calcarea, Demospongia, as well as Hexactinellida. So the important examples includes 3 important examples includes Sycon, Spongilla, as well as Euspongia. Sycon, Spongilla and Euspongia, whereas Spongilla is commonly known as a freshwater sponge. See, most of the members are the marine water, so it is one of the important freshwater sponge. Euspongia is commonly called bark sponge. It is a bark sponge, and this is regarding to the phylum Porifera. Okay, so the next phylum is a phylum Coelenterata, which is also known as a phylum Cnidaria. So the members of Coelenterata, they will have diploblastic. Now they are diploblastic, but there is a presence of a layer known as a mesoglia. Okay, diploblastic, then there is a presence of a layer known as mesoglia. They have tissue level of organization. Their digestion is intracellular or extracellular, and there are 2 forms of Coelenterata. One is a polyp and one more is a medusa. Polyp, which is cylindrical. Polyp is cylindrical, for example, Hydra, whereas medusa is umbrella shaped. You might have seen jellyfish, which is umbrella shaped. Polyp is sessile. Sessile means attached to the substratum. They need a base to which they will be attached, whereas medusa will be freely moving. So there are two body forms, polyp as well as medusa. There is a very special type of reproduction which is seen here, that is known to be metagenesis or alternation of generation, where one organism in one generation that will be polyp, that give rise to a next generation which will be medusa. Alternation of generation, polyp to the medusa, which is one of the very important feature which is seen here. Okay, they will show a radial symmetry. Symmetry is radial symmetry. Next, the very important examples for this one is a Physalia. Direct question can be asked based on their commonly known name as well as a scientific name. Physalia, which is commonly called Portuguese man of war due to their alignment, as well as the Aurelia, which is a jellyfish. Their complete body is made up of water, so that's why they are known to be the jellyfish. Pennatula is a sea pen, which is like a pen-like structure. It is a sea pen. Okay, so this is a pennatula. So these are the three very important examples for this. They are further classified into, there is a hydrozoa, Scyphozoa as well as Anthozoa. Hydrozoa, Scyphozoa and the Anthozoa, these are the three important classes. Next, the Coelenterata, which is also known as a Cnidaria. See, silent, Cnidaria. Why it is known as Cnidaria? The name Cnidaria is mainly due to the presence of cnidoblast, where these cnidoblasts are present. So you might have seen Hydra, which is mainly consisting of tentacles. There are tentacles. All these tentacles which are consisting of a cells called cnidoblast. Attaching to the cnidoblast, there is a stinging cells or nematocytes, which are also known as a nematocyte. There is tentacle on which there is a cnidoblast. Upon that there is a nematocytes or the stinging cells, which will help for the adhesion, that will be attached to the substratum or for the capture of prey. For these purposes they will use the tentacles as well as the cnidoblast. This is one of the very important feature that is seen in the Coelenterata members. So that is regarding to the phylum Coelenterata. So in the previous classes you might have studied Coelenterata porifera. There is a one small group of organisms which are considered under one more phylum called Ctenophora. This you might not have studied in your previous classes, Ctenophora. So Ctenophora or most of the features which are similar to the Coelenterata, but still some of the very peculiar features, such as there is a presence of 8 rows of external comb plates, okay, which is consisting of 8 rows of external comb plates. So these comb plates which will help in the locomotion process. One of the example is a Ctenoplana. It is also known as a sea gooseberry. It looks like a gooseberry, so that's why it is called sea gooseberry. So next, one of the very important feature, all these organisms which are found in very depth, okay, in the marine water, they are mainly seen in marine water, oceans, very depth regions. That is why where sunlight will not be penetrated into those regions, so some of the members will be having a property known as a bioluminescence. They will have a property called bioluminescence. Bioluminescence means they will have the ability to emit light emitting property. So that is a bioluminescence property. So that is one of the very important feature of Ctenophora. Example is a Ctenoplana. Okay, so that is regarding Ctenophora. Next we'll move on to the next phylum, that is a Platyhelminthes. They are also known as a flatworms. Why they are called flatworms? Because they are dorso-ventrally flat-ended. They are dorso-ventrally flat-ended, that's why they are known to be the flatworms. So now, their features are, they are triploblastic. Though they are triploblastic, there is the absence of coelom. So it is acoelomate. Triploblastic, acoelomate, and they have a bilateral symmetry which can be divided in only one angle. So it is a bilateral symmetry. There is the absence of digestive system. Digestive system is absent. Why digestive system is absent? Because they are parasites. What do you mean by parasite? Parasites are the organisms which depends on the another organism. There is a relationship between a host as well as a parasite. Always these parasites will attach to the host organism. They will be attached to the host organism. You might have studied about leech. Leech is also a parasite. Leech is an ectoparasite which will found attached to the body surface. This is an endoparasite inside the organism. They are directly absorbing the nutrients from the host organism. They will directly absorb the nutrients from the host organism. That is why they have hooks and suckers. There is a presence of hooks and suckers for the adhesion. So that will be attached to the host organism and they will absorb the nutrients. They will be directly absorbing the nutrients, so that's why they do not need digestive system, digestive organ. Okay, see, we the human beings, we have digestive system for the process of digestion, where one substance is converted into a simpler form. For example, proteins are converted into amino acids, whereas carbohydrates are converted into simple sugars. So here they are directly absorbing nutrients, so they do not need digestive system. They have a blind sac plant. Blind sac plant means, see, here there are two plants. One is a blind sac plant, one more is a tube within tube plant. It is also known as a incomplete digestive system and complete digestive system. Incomplete digestive system means they will have a single opening through which intake of food as well as the elimination of waste takes place. Single opening for the intake of food as well as the elimination of waste substances. Whereas these are having blind sac plant, they have only one opening. Both for the intake of food and elimination of waste takes place through the single opening. We are having tube within tube plant, complete digestive system. There are two openings, mouth as well as the anus. Okay. Next, for the process of excretion, they have a special cells called flame cells. Very important. For the process of excretion, they have a special cells called flame cells. Next, ladder-like nervous system. Their nervous system is a ladder-like. All these nerves which are arranged like a ladder. Okay, they have a nervous system which is ladder-like. They are having further three classes: Turbellaria, Trematoda as well as Cystoda. These are the three classes comes under Platyhelminthes: Turbellaria, Trematoda as well as the Cystoda. Next, regarding to the example, liver fluke, Fasciola. It is a liver fluke as well as a tapeworm. Taenia is a tapeworm. All these are the endoparasites which need a host. Without the host, they cannot multiply. For the multiplication, they need a host. Okay, so that is regarding to the phylum Platyhelminthes or flatworms. Okay, so the next phylum is phylum Aschelminthes, which is also known as roundworms. Okay, so here why they are called roundworms? Because they are circular in their cross section. When we take a cross section, so cross section means in this way. When we take a cross section, that looks circular, so that's why they are known to be roundworms. So here they have organ system level of organization. From Aschelminthes till the Chordata, there is a organ system level of organization, as well as they are triploblastic development. Then there is a presence of pseudocoelom. That's why they are known to be pseudocoelomates. See, coelom is absent, but there are certain substances which looks like a coelom. That's why they are known to be a pseudocoelomates. And they have a bilateral symmetry which can be divided only in one plane. Okay, so that is regarding to the common features. So next is they have tube within tube plant. What is this tube within tube plant? It is a complete digestive system consisting of two opening, mouth as well as the anus. So that is a tube within tube plan. Respiratory system as well as the circulatory system is absent. Respiratory and circulatory system is absent, that because they are dependent on the host organism. They are also endoparasites. They will be depending on the host organism. So that's why these are absent. But their reproductive system is very highly developed. They will have a highly developed reproductive system because they will multiply very fast inside the host organism. If they have a host organism inside them, they will multiply very fast. So they have very well developed reproductive system. Endoparasites. Examples includes Ascaris. Ascaris is commonly called roundworm. Ancylostoma, it is called hookworm. Wucheria, though the pronunciation is Wucheria, so here it is Wuchereria, but it is pronounced as Wucheria, and it is known to be a filarial worm. You might have studied elephantiasis disease. Elephantiasis disease, it is mainly caused by this organism, whereas this organism normally blocks our lymph. Our lymph system will be blocked by this organism, leading to the swelling of the lower body parts. You might have seen the elephant leg-like structure in this disorder. So that is the elephantiasis. So now, one of the very interesting feature is that they have a sexual dimorphism. Sexual dimorphism means there is a sex-defining features. So this is a male Ascaris and this is a female Ascaris. You can see the difference here. Female Ascaris is always longer than the male Ascaris. That is one of the very important feature. Female is longer than the male, whereas male is having somewhat coiled end. There is a presence of a coiled end. So that is one of the feature that is normally seen in the male Ascaris. Then there is a two main classes. Under this there is a Phasmidia as well as Aphasmidia. Phasmidia and Aphasmidia are the two classes. Now, other than these examples, they also have some other examples, such as there is a presence of eyeworm. Eyeworm is also example for this, which causes certain infections. Eyeworm is example for this. Normally, these are endoparasites and they normally cause the diseases. Ascaris, as you know that it is present inside the human body, it causes ascariasis. Ascariasis, which is caused by this Ascaris. So these are the this is regarding Asci helminthes or roundworm.